Coming up on Hoge Jahns, it's a Q&A episode. Little bit of a break today after Family Fest, but a big week coming up against the Dolphins. We're going to answer all of your questions. Hoge Jahns starts right now. What's up? Welcome in. Hoge Jahns back with you after the weekend, after Family Fest, and big week coming up with Dolphins coming to town for a joint practice. You can feel things amping up a little bit. What's going on, Johnsy?
But before that, we have a special episode coming on Thursday.
That's right.
Priorities.
That's all we're going to tell you right now.
Ooh. Tease,
yes. We have, so obviously we got this one coming out, your early week episode. Later on this week, we'll have a special episode coming your way before the joint practice, which is not until Friday. Couple good practices, it sounds like, over the weekend, though, Johns. I was, full disclosure, not around. Wife's family 50th annual camping trip.
You don't have to you're good, man. You're good. Family things come up. Trust me. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a hard time. 50th year anniversary camping trips are fine by me.
Yeah. No, it's cool. They had all obviously they've been doing this for way longer than I've known my wife, but they had like all these T-shirts from they started in 1975. They had like the 5th annual shirt hanging out. It was really cool. It was a fun weekend. It was great. I missed the 49th last year. So, and I usually don't feel guilty about ever missing Family Fest. Avoiding Soldier Field on a Lala weekend is something I actually take pride in. But I got to say, when I heard that they went, full pads, 2.5 hour practice, and our guy Pat Norton did a great job covering everything yesterday. Carm and Braggs had a good post-practice show on CH show and all that. So we had everything covered for you guys. And I was reading up on everything, but it sounded like it was good. I mean, it's good to hear that they had that many fans. There was like 23,000 fans, and they put on a show for them. Cause we've been to those things in past years where it's like 45 minutes. Let's get in and out of here, say hi to the fans, and not much happens. But Ben Johnson was like getting after it a little bit, trying to simulate an actual game.
Nothing will beat the year that Mark Trestman had a night practice at Soldier Field while Lollapalooza is going on down the street. And getting in and out of there was a nightmare. And then during our interview with Mark Trestman in the middle of the field, a fireworks show.
I remember that.
Off. And then, once the fireworks show went off, once that concluded, the Martellus Bennett cartoon was then shown on the giant jumbotrons of Soldier Field, and it was just chaotic. And I remember leaving there and having to pull over one of the parks just down Lakeshore Drive, just north of there, and having to finish my story in a parking lot there. So that'd have to be 2013 or 2014.
One of those 2 years.
An awful day at Family Fest.
Yeah. And I buried the lead. If you're watching on YouTube, Johnsy's got a new setup. I mean, this is how we're celebrating 10 years of Hoge Jahns. We're finally getting him a proper background. This is big.
Yeah. Hopefully I sound the same, but if you're watching, you can see the old high school football helmet. I'm pointing the wrong way. There's a picture of me and my family with a travel baseball trophy. There's a Hoge Jahns sign on the wall. There's a picture of me and my wife. Turn this way, holding the Stanley Cup for 2010. So it's good to have some ambiance finally on the Jahns part of this podcast.
Well, there's also that book you wrote.
Yeah, that book too. Right there. The big
people
50.
Can still buy it and go check it out.
I think I might need some updating though. A lot has happened since that publication.
Yeah, what was that? Almost 10 years ago? or no?
No, it wasn't 10 years ago. That was published during the end of the Nagy Pace era, where Justin
Okay.
Fields had just gotten drafted. So you're thinking this could still work out for Pace and Nagy, but there's a whole nother few chapters that need adding in that one.
Yeah. Well, that tends to happen. It's like the Bears scrapbook, which is amazing. I reference it all the time. What an amazing piece of work. But early on in that thing, there's like a whole chapter on Mitch Trubisky. It's like, well, that part didn't age well, but it is an amazing book. So, all right, we are going to do a little Q&A for you today. Of course, we should mention, make sure you are following us on all channels that are not suspended right now. I still can't get that Twitter account figured out. If anybody knows anybody or knows how to, I mean, I tried to complain on Twitter. That didn't work. Someone actually gave me a contact over there. Nobody responded. So I don't know what's it, but the Hoge Jahns Twitter is suspended until further notice. We are on Instagram, though, and Katie and our crew have been doing a great job getting some videos out on there. So check us out on Instagram. Of course, you can still go to hogeandjahns.com and sign up to be a diehard there. You can buy the merch. At least I might have to double check on that because I know that limited edition t-shirt and hat was only going to be available at the beginning, but we need to get some other merch up there. So anyway, go to hogeandjahns.com. Whatever's there is there for you now. And there's more coming. Plus you become a diehard and you get all Johns' great content. I know we got some great stuff coming this week too, including our practice reports every single day. All right, I think we got all the particulars out of the way. Let's jump right in. I have not seen, well, I've seen a couple of these questions. Some are funny, some are serious. That's how we like to do it with you guys. But Johnsy's going to lead the way here. He's the one who solicited the questions. We'll pop them up on the screen for you if you're watching on YouTube. Again, if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, hit subscribe. Go check it out. Hit that like button if you're watching right now on YouTube. We appreciate it. And, of course, we're always available wherever you listen to your podcasts as well. All right, Johnsy, take it out.
All right, first question from Ashwin. What have you seen with Kyler Gordon's role in this defense? For snaps running 4-2-5 formation, he can be the nickel as always. But for when Allen goes 4-3 base defense, would Kyler play outside cornerback or not on the field at all? He's too important to not be on the field.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen a little bit of everything, including him. Instead of taking him off the field, you drop him back to safety and take one of the safeties off. I think they're still kind of experimenting with this stuff at this point, Johnsy, but you can tell that they don't want to take him off the field. They're going to find ways to do it. We've also seen quite a bit of dime, which I know some questions about that last week. Herb Howard was asking a bunch of questions. We've seen a decent amount of dime packages. I think we've been kind of saying this throughout the summer. This is going to be a little bit of a different experience watching the Bears defense, because instead of them being like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we line up. We keep things in front of us. Yeah, we'll switch from base to nickel, but that's about it. You might see a blitz here and there. This is more of a exotic, switch things up, be aggressive, keep the offense on their heels as much as you can type of thing. It's gonna carry some risk, but as I've said before, there's a bunch of pieces like Kyler Gordon that I think fit this style of defense really, really well. So it's a weird situation where I feel like the Bears already had a bunch of pieces in this defense that fit that style. It's almost like they were miscast or not used to their full max potential in Matt Eberflus's defense, even though it was still a pretty good D at the time.
With Jalen Johnson not on the field, and this is I'm about to say this with Montez Sweat having an outstanding training camp, but I'm willing to argue with anybody that Kyler Gordon might be the best defensive player on the Bears roster, especially with Dennis Allen now calling that defense and with what he wants to do. Yes, Jalen Johnson has the credentials, but we haven't seen him. Montez Sweat has the credentials. He's having an outstanding camp, but just in terms of what Dennis Allen wants to do with the blitzes, the disguises, the press coverage, Kyler Gordon's your Swiss Army knife. He could do so many things. So to the question's point, yes, I think Dennis Allen is experimenting and finding ways to keep Well, Kyler Gordon on the field. I think the dime packages that we're seeing, if anything, tells me, one, he believes in his secondary, that could be the strength of this defense, just in terms of the press coverage, the aggressive man coverage that he wants to play with, maybe a little single high back there. So I like what Dennis Allen is doing. Kyler Gordon has come off the field in the base defense. We've seen that. They've still kept Byard and Brisker back there at safety with Nishan Wright and Tyreek Stevenson at the corners. Noah Sewell, we'll get to him in a little bit here at the strong side linebacker spot. But like we've said, I think he is too good to take off the field. I think Dennis Allen feels that way too, but we'll have to see what that comes to be based on opponent, based on week 1. Week 18 will be different than week 9, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of variables here. Jalen Johnson's status can affect that too. Who wins the second corner spot? Lot to figure out there, but it is fun to have pieces like that you can move around. What's next?
This is from Serotonin. With reports of linebacker 3, it's Noah Sewell looking good, and Olamide Zaccheaus and Colston Loveland also looking good. I'm wondering, is it just whoever is lined up in the slot that looks good? Oh, sorry. LB3 for this question is Luther Burden III.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, how about all the above as the answer? I mean, I think these guys are individually looking good, but also, yeah, whoever's lining up in the slot looks good too. I mean, I think it's both.
It's the scheme. I think the best answer to this question, I'm sorry for getting LB3, defense was on my mind for a little bit. Wrong there, but yes, OZ, Loveland, and Burden have had their great moments in camp, strong moments in camp, where they're winning one-on-one matchups, but there's also moments where they're like wide open. And I think that's the scheme coming through. And this is the St. Brown role that we're talking about. At least I know Loveland's a bit different, but I think some of those plays can be packaged towards him just because of the unique weapon that he is. But this is the scheme of Ben Johnson coming through, specifically that St. Brown role that made him a Pro Bowler, an all-pro player in Detroit.
Yeah. And this is Ben Johnson had an interesting answer to a question yesterday. I went back and watched the press conference. Basically, who do you trust right now amongst your, receiving weapons? And it was the usual suspects, starting with Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and then OZ. And then he was basically like, Colston Loveland and Luther Burden are getting there, but they're still rookies, so they still got to earn that trust. I thought it was a very fair answer. I thought it was interesting that he wasn't afraid to answer it. He doesn't seem to be afraid to answer anything. But it was also notable, I thought, how he didn't shy away from saying, I trust those 4 guys. That's important. And the rookies are coming along. Like it didn't seem like a put down on them. It just seemed like they're still earning it right now.
As far as first impressions go, and I'm going to count like these first 2.5 weeks as part of the first impression, because we haven't seen Luther Burden or Colston Loveland really until now. The Bears got some players there. They got a couple dudes, I think. Colston Loveland's impressive. He really is, just in terms of everything you do on the field. I think Luther Burden, he's bigger and faster than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
Significantly bigger, I would say, than I thought he would be when you see him live on the field.
There was a nugget too. I think it was Case Keenum on Saturday. Yeah, it was Case Keenum when he talked Saturday, talking about Loveland, said that, and this I think this might have been in what you wrote up Saturday. Sorry, I crammed a lot in my brain last night before I went to bed after missing the weekend.
Keep talking, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, no, but what I loved about specifically the way he phrased something when it came to Loveland was with the timing of things, he knows when to get open. That's like next level. There's a lot of good, talented wide receivers who never figure that out. They just were like good wide receivers that just, they use their natural separation ability and speed to get open, but it's just like, hey, I did that. I'm open. Now throw me the ball. There's more savvier route runners and especially I would say at the tight end position, when you watch Travis, I mean, I'm going to crazy town. I know it, like bringing up Kelsey, but that's what separates a Kelsey from everybody else in the timing within the offense of knowing, yes, I can get open, but when do I actually need to be open for when the ball gets here? And all I'm saying for Case Keenum, who's been in this league for a long time, to already acknowledge that being a thing for a rookie who's basically been practicing for 2 weeks, that really got my attention when I read that in your piece, Johns.
Yeah. That's something. Here's the quote. This is Case Keenum. He's friendly to throw to. He's got good body language. There's that non-verbal communication lets the quarterback know that he knows where the ball is and should be, and has good body position in relation to defenders. And then based on what the route is, knows when to be open in a lot of ways. He had a route that was captured by a fan from the end zone where he's one-on-one in the slot against Jaquan Brisker, and he has Brisker on ice, on skates, and it's a touchdown throw from Caleb Williams to Colston Loveland. Gets hit a little bit right at the goal line, but he holds on to the ball, falls to the end zone, touchdown. That is what the Bears want. That's why they drafted him. That is a mismatch problem across the board.
Yeah. Good first impressions. I'll have to write up my first impressions here now that we're a few weeks into camp. I always like doing that. I think it's a very telling, especially when you get, I think there's been 10 practices now, 5 in pads. So we've seen a good representation of both non-padded and padded practices to this point. You could tell a lot early on. So it's good vibes there. All right, what's up next?
This is from our Saul. Forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. Can you provide an update on Ruben Hippolyte II? He was mentioned as someone that was standing out during OTAs, but it seems we haven't heard about him as much during training camp, perhaps due to the increased dime packages.
I think it just has to do with more the fact that Noah Sewell got the first crack with the ones, and to his credit, has hung on to it. I think he's quietly had a good training camp. I think quietly has earned the trust of Dennis Allen. I think he's a good fit for, maybe a better fit for Dennis Allen's offense or defense than the last defense. And also a credit to him. I'll also give credit to Mark Carman on this one. I think it was the first OTA practice back in May when we were inside the Walter Payton Center, and Carman immediately was like, Noah Sewell looks like he's jacked up and in like insane shape. And so he obviously, knowing this was a huge offseason and a huge season for him in his career and his opportunities, went to work. Has been given an opportunity with Jack Sanborn out of the picture now. And I don't necessarily think it's a knock on Ruben Hippolyte. I think Noah Sewell's hung on to that. That being said, we have also seen Hippolyte, at least I've written it in my notebook a few times, Ruben Hippolyte with the twos getting beat by a Colston Loveland or kind of trailing in coverage a couple times. Now, those are tough matchups for him, rookie on rookie, but that has been noticeable at times.
Well, if we're going back to Saturday's practice, when Keenum spoke, the play that came up that led to the Colston Loveland question was a 7-on-7 play in the red zone where he threw a back shoulder jump ball to Loveland against Hippolyte. And Loveland, with his size, his arm length, and just his athleticism, won that. It's not an easy catch by any means, but he made it look easy. We were right there. Me and Mark Carman were right there in the corner of that end zone. If they had a highlight of it from like behind the play, you would see me and Carm standing right there taking notes on it because it was an outstanding play. Hippolyte had good coverage too. But then Colston Loveland, that's why he was the 10th overall pick to deliver plays like that. Also on that day was Noah Sewell blowing up a screen where if he's allowed to, who was it? I think it was Swift. If he's allowed to hit Swift, he's taking his head off because I forget who was blocking. It was either Durham Smythe or Colston Loveland, but easily beat. Great read on the play. Speed all over the field just in terms of getting on DeAndre Swift quite quickly. But those are the plays that are keeping Noah Sewell above Ruben Hippolyte on the depth chart right now. And we've seen a couple of them where he's just playing instinctual. And I'm with Carm. He does look physically different on the field.
Yeah, no, it'd be quite a story because it's a guy who was essentially a healthy scratch for a big portion of last season. Now, sometimes new coaching staff, new scheme, light flips on. Like maybe that's. I think it's important. Remember, we're talking about, and these questions all kind of go together, right? We're talking about the Sam linebacker. We're talking about how much you don't want to take Kyler Gordon off the field. So what's the snap percentage actually going to be for whether it's Noah Sewell or Ruben Hippolyte? That being said, that guy also needs to back up the other spots. And so if there were any injuries to TJ Edwards or Tremaine Edmonds, that's where that depth is really going to matter. And so, I think it's overall, this has been a good development with Noah Sewell because I think these last couple of weeks is probably the best we've ever seen him look and play.
Absolutely.
Instinctually, speed-wise, all of those things in a Bears uniform since they drafted him.
Quick plug. Pat Norton has a story coming up on Noah Sewell this week.
Nice.
allchgo.com.
Go become a diehard. All right, we'll take our first time out here real quick. Thank a couple sponsors, and we'll be right back with more of your questions here on Hoge Jahns. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside is everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city. You can go to Wrigleyville, River North, out to the burbs, as far south as Champaign or as far north as South Beloit. Sunnyside has you covered. And if you're just starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. It's easy to order online, and they are there to help you in the store if you need to go that route as well. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Again, that's HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. And just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. Empire Today can do exactly that for you. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. You've been to those big box stores. You wander those aisles, then somehow you're bringing all those materials home. You're looking for an installer. You're coordinating everything yourself. Don't do that. Just go to Empire Today. They live and breathe flooring. They're going to pick out the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it all looks with your furniture in your house. That is the home floor advantage. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. You heard that right, $350 off with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
All right, our next question is from Brett. I hate that I have to ask this question, especially because of Carr. This should be good. And a lot of suffering and pessimism over the years. With Caleb's struggles and the offense seeming to run better with Bagent, should that be who the Bears put as starter, or do you stick with Caleb? You stick with Caleb. It's not like Bagent's having the best backup quarterback camp of all time either. I believe that rotation with him and Case Keenum is still ongoing. I think it was Case Keenum who took the second team reps at Family Fest. So let's not argue too much about what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think Bagent's looked pretty good overall, but we're not even close to the point where you start to talk about not playing your number one overall pick from a year ago. You have to stick with this. You brought Ben Johnson here to get the most out of him. You can't bail on it before they ever play a game. That would be insane. Also, I mean, I think we've seen life from Caleb. I think, there's Ben said something yesterday that I was starting to add up to in my notes, because he said at one point he said we just went through the 4th install of 12, and now we're getting to the point where I think today was supposed to be practice number 11. They ended up just holding a walkthrough, but they could have still had another install there. Like, we're getting to the point where the installs are basically about to be over, if not already over. And Ben acknowledged that yesterday in his press conference. So now the thinking is, instead of every day having to run stuff for the first time, by the time you get through this week against the Dolphins and especially next week against the Bills, you're running stuff that you've already done before. Now it's the 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th time that you've gone through all this stuff. So hopefully things get smoother, and they have, like, especially the pre-snap stuff. So we're still more than a month out from the opener. There's still a lot of time here. There's plenty of practices. And I think if you really kind of dial in on the improvement we've seen from Caleb just in these first couple weeks of training camp, and you realize that we're only really about a third of the way in then, essentially. Now, maybe you put a little bit more weight to the beginning of training camp because there's more padded practices, a little bit more intense, but there's still plenty of time in those last couple of weeks before the season actually begins for all that mental stuff. They're still going through a ton of meetings, and they'll also be running stuff specifically and game planning specifically for the Vikings. So while you have this giant library of stuff, it will be narrowed down for week 1, and then you can just master that what you need for the Minnesota Vikings.
Has he had bad moments? Yes, absolutely. I think you and I would both say that there are times where we feel, from our vantage points, where he's holding the ball too long. And that's consistent if you go back to last year. I think it's been consistent because you see it in every single practice. But there's also been positive moments where that ball is out quickly. There's been positive moments where there is no pre-snap confusion, where everybody's in line, the play gets off, the blocking is there, and the pass is distributed on time. That's training camp. There'll be bad moments, and there's going to be good moments. You just hope maybe he stacks more of those good moments as things go on here. But you know what? That defense is paid too. Go on.
Well, we're also, the defense, he's facing a pretty good defense every day, but we're also going to see Ben and the offensive staff narrow this thing down eventually, not just for the Vikings like I was just talking about, but if there's really stuff that they don't feel like Caleb can handle in a game, like from what we've learned about Ben Johnson, I don't think they're going to force that stuff into the game plan.
No.
So they're still testing him right now, and with that testing, there's going to be mistakes. I'm encouraged, I think, overall with some of the stuff he's shown, especially pre-snap, that he can improve at. And like I said, there's still time, but there is going to be a period of time here, and probably not till later on in the month, where they go, all right, we have all this tape on all of the stuff that we installed. This works. This doesn't work. Maybe we'll come to this back later in the season when he's more comfortable. There's going to be a plan here. I really don't think this is going to be a situation where they got him swimming in the deep end against the Vikings when that's already a tough scheme to go up against.
Yeah. And can we all stop freaking out about like certain clips that are shared? Like the new one now. I was at this practice. Is Caleb Williams throwing the ball into the net, that 3-tiered net where you have.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You know, the low pass, the middle pass, the high pass. That drill is meant for him to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Like that's the sole purpose of that drill. I know he's trying to be accurate with it. I get that, but it wasn't like Bajent, Keenum, and Reed were putting the ball through the holes the entire time. And I actually believe that Caleb Williams had one round on that drill where he was consistently hitting his target. So can we not freak out about an individual period drill where one of the points of that drill is to catch the ball and get it out of your hands as quickly as possible, because you're probably practicing for a quick screen or whatever, wide receiver screen, tunnel screen, whatever you want to do. That's the point of the drill.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be a little careful putting stuff out like that when it doesn't have the full context of what's going on. And that one kind of took off. I saw that over the weekend.
Yeah. This is from Devin Montgomery. I almost said David Montgomery. From Devin. Most of the focus has understandably been on the offense. Very true, Devin. But how has Gervon Dexter and Billings looked? Andrew Billings looked. How about the defensive line depth overall?
Overall, I feel pretty good about what I've seen so far. I think Gervon Dexter's having a pretty good camp.
I think he's having an outstanding camp.
Yeah, I think he I've been impressed with Dexter, and I like where they're playing him. I think he's going to be in a better position to have success. Billings, I don't know. I don't know if they had him put on more weight or what's going on there. I don't think he's looked bad. They're still playing him plenty with the ones or anything like that. I'm just kind of curious to see what that all looks like because he looks bigger. I'm assuming that's the role that they want him to play. But I think at times the conditionings looked a little questionable, which I guess shouldn't be a shock. So I'm not necessarily concerned there. I just, for a guy, I mean, I've been at the top of the Andrew Billings fan club here for the last few years with that signing and saying how underrated he is. I guess I'm not seeing the same. I guess I'm just like, I wouldn't have messed with that. I get like it's a different scheme and sometimes you have to do that, but he's been so, I don't know. I don't know yet. I need to see it in the game.
Yeah. I think when you see him, well, in person, I'm talking about Billings here. It kind of strikes you about how big he got. I was standing on the sideline next to Peggy Kaczynski, and she's out there for a radio show for ESPN 1000. Peggy and Dion, great show. Please check it out, ESPN 1000. But to see, like, her first remarks to me was, "Wow, Andrew Billings looks enormous." I'm like, "Yeah, we've noticed that too." So there's probably going to be more reporting done on our side. We could probably figure this out actually in the next couple of days, but Gervon Dexter is having an outstanding camp. He is just physically impressive and imposing, and you're seeing all of those physical attributes turn into high-level performance on the field. He is giving those guards, two very good guards, a lot of problems. He's getting in the backfield and getting to DeAndre Swift for safeties at Soldier Field and Family Fest. He's had a good camp. As far as the depth, Dom Robinson has a place on this roster, everybody. He's going to play. Austin Booker has a place on this roster, everybody. He is going to play. There's your second string, defensive ends. But because of Dennis Allen and what he wants to do defensively, you will see his defensive ends, Montez Sweat, Dayo Dangbo, they'll be moving around a bit where you can put Booker and Dom Robinson on the field at the same time, just in terms of any NASCAR rush packages you want to put on the field. But those would be your top reserves right there.
I think Tano, too, with his history, will be in there, with his history with both Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen. Look, I'll say this about Dom Rob and Austin Booker, although the track record is a little bit longer with Dominique Robinson. We've seen this story before in August. I need to see it. I need to see the production once we get to September. Because we heard this last year from the last head coach about how great of a camp Dominique Robinson was having and all this stuff and how much he's improved. And we're hearing the same thing from a different coaching staff. So I'm not doubting it. It must be true. But it's just, okay, but is he going to be inactive in November? Or is he actually going to be producing? That's all I'm getting. And I think that's fair at this point. But
absolutely.
And then the same thing with Austin Booker. Like, it would not shock me if Austin Booker goes and gets like 4 sacks in 3 preseason games. You know what I mean? Because he did that last year. I don't know if those were the exact stats, but he looked unbelievable in the preseason last year. And then not surprisingly, it tailed off in the regular season because he was just not big enough yet. Now he's bigger now, but
he's only 22 years old.
Yeah, he's still super young, but he's also 245 when Dio Dengbo's 282. So he is going to be giving up some power there in his game. You just hope the speed takes over. And I think he's shown flashes. I still like Austin Booker.
I think the Bears like him too.
Yeah.
This is from Mike Hall. Those of us who've been listening over the years have heard the commentary surrounding Trubisky and Fields. How does this camp, specifically for Caleb, differ? Does he look better, or should we be concerned as we were with the other two? I think I would begin, my answer with this one begins with Ben Johnson. As far as first impressions go, as far as my research goes, as far as hearing stories about Ben Johnson, and then you have his track record from Detroit, I have much more faith in what Ben Johnson is going to do with Caleb Williams than I have with, as positive as it was for Matt Nagy and Mr. Trubisky. Something's being built here that I feel like is different. Now, you can hold me to that. I could be wrong in a couple of years. We could be talking about yet another quarterback being drafted by yet another head coach here in a couple of years. I get that. But Ben Johnson's resume is different than Matt Nagy's. It's different than Luke Getzey's and his plan for Justin Fields. So if I'm going to really go through a question like this and try to compare and contrast what the quarterbacks are doing, I'm starting with the person who's actually in charge of coaching them. And I have more faith in Ben Johnson getting this right than the previous offensive minds that have come through town.
Yeah, and I think that that's an important part of it. It really feels like this time around, if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be a story of, well, the coaching failed him. He wasn't put in the right position. He was put in the wrong offense, or he wasn't being coached the right way. And there's still this conversation with Justin Fields, and I think they're trying to be optimistic in New York right now that this is going to be a better situation for him to have success. Yeah, that would surprise me if this time around, if it really didn't work out. I feel like we'll be talking more of it being the quarterback than the situation he was put in. And obviously, Caleb, we're already 0 for 1 with that one with Caleb, because last year was the worst situation. You look at Trevor Lawrence right now, for example. He's on his fourth head coach. That's not the stability you want.
It's not good.
If and when Caleb Williams gets his second contract, the thinking here is it's been Ben Johnson since the start of year 2. And there's been a lot of stability. That's what you want. That's what a lot of these good quarterbacks have had, whether it's Drew Brees and Sean Payton, right? Or obviously Mahomes and Andy Reid, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And yeah, it's sort of the chicken or the egg argument. Well, how much is the quarterback? It's usually both. And so that's what it seems like they have the coaching side of it now with Ben Johnson. And if he can get the quarterback around, then I do think it has the promise to be pretty damn good pairing.
And looking back at last year, I think you and I were pretty fair with, I think we had our doubts to begin with. Maybe we talked ourselves into being a little bit more optimistic about how things can play out. I think a lot of it wasn't just Shane Waldron and the coaches. It was some of the players that the Bears had around Caleb Williams. This could work. There's going to be some bumps in the road. But then I think early on, you and I kind of pointed this out. If you go back, there were some red flags that came up pretty darn early. In that experience, very early, coming from players at the podium, press conferences, just sharing their concerns. So far, so good. Different vibe under Ben Johnson.
Yeah. All right, next question.
This is from, let me find one here. This is from Dean. 8 months later, same question. What comes first? Caleb Williams starts the Bears playoff game, or Kevin Warren shovel in the ground, picture in a suit and hard hat?
All right, so what comes first? Caleb Williams starting a playoff game or shovel in the ground?
I'm going to say playoff game.
I think so, too. They kind of missed that late May deadline with the legislative stuff.
They missed a lot. I'm sorry. I know, like, deadline spur action, but come on. You can't go in there hoping, like, okay, now all these politicians who are on record saying they're not going to work with us, now they're going to work with us because now there's a deadline here.
Johns, they never even got to the vote.
No.
They ran out of time. They couldn't get the budget figured out. I mean, like, it's I don't know. It's a lot of talk about.
It's not.
I drove by the lot last week. I mean, can we just put the horse track back up because it was a lot prettier to drive by than just the weeds that are growing right now.
Steakhouse back as well.
Mr. D's OTB.
I think looking back, there was a lot of time, energy, money spent on trying to make something work on the lakefront that was never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Time, energy, money, lots of money.
To the point that it's probably impossible to calculate how much money that cost the Bears. Just when you throw in the unknown construction costs.
Yeah.
Rise in construction costs, I mean.
So, well, at least the mayoral election in Arlington Heights worked out for the Bears in their favor. They got another pro stadium mayor in there. So, playoff game, Caleb Williams, that comes first.
Well, if that's the question, I feel great about the Bears making the playoffs this year. I think it's a possibility.
So what we're talking about in 2026, that season.
I feel like it's a longer shot that the legislation gets figured out that the Bears need to be able to put a shovel in the ground this year. So, not great.
Not great. All right. Do we have another break here?
Oh, yeah, we could do that here. Why don't we we'll take our second break and come back with a few more questions before we get out of here on Hoge Jahns. Get ready for the rest of summer with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, including myself. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from. So whether you're golfing or hiking or biking or just out on the boat, they have a style for you and probably in your favorite team's colors as well. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. So exclusive for our listeners right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And with the summer heat beating down, I hope that your AC is checked out and ready to go. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. They've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years, and their experts are ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repair. 4 Seasons expert technicians ensure that you always receive reliable service. 4 Seasons doesn't charge more for service on nights, weekends, and holidays, which is huge because that always seems like when things go wrong. Schedule your 4 Seasons AC tune-up today. You'll save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no breakdown guarantee. And if you need a new system, you can save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with 4 Seasons right now. Your trusted local experts are 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit 4seasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com.
Adam, let's continue. This is from Greg. In terms of defenses faced by the Bears starting O's, offenses in camp since you've been on the beat, Is there any comparison in terms of seemingly more blitzes and complex blitzes that Dennis Allen has called? Even if a scheme is higher percentage of blitzes, do they still do it as much at camp? I want to say this is the most blitzing I have ever seen covering a Bears training camp. And it's not even close. It's almost, truthfully, it feels like almost every single down. Even if they're not blitzing, there's a disguise there where I feel like it's getting to the Bears' offense and their protection just in terms of messing them up a bit, and which allows a maybe one-on-one rush that they wouldn't want with a Montez Sweat against the Darnell Wright, that type of matchup. So, yeah, I can't think. Fangio did some different things, but not like what Dennis Allen is doing.
Yeah, and that the Fangio would be the only close comp. But I think this is even more. I agree with you on that, and I think it speaks to also the personnel and the amount of guys that you have that are capable of blitzing. But I have it in my notebook. Where you got number 6 and number 9 blitzing together. Got Tremaine Edmonds coming. TJ Edwards can certainly do it too.
Kevin Byard
can do it. Even Jalen Johnson, you get him back. You could send him on a corner blitz. So it's exciting. I'm going to keep cautioning. I think it's going to lead to some mistakes and some big plays here and there. But personally, I'd rather watch an aggressive style defense. It was one of the things I really just felt uneasy about and didn't love when they hired Matt Eberflus, that they were trying to go back to this old cover 2. It works to a point, but it's, I don't know, stylistically, it's not my cup of tea. And I'm excited to see this, even though I think it is going to come with some big plays here and there.
Next question from our friend Mason West. At training camp Saturday, there was a heavy emphasis on the passing game, specifically red zone. Excuse me. And very little run game. Is there any vibe regarding the running back room?
So I'll caution you this, Mason. Different days, and we've seen, this is not exclusive to Ben Johnson, but I think we've definitely seen this a lot with Ben so far in camp. Some days are heavy run, some days are red zone days, some days are third down days. Depends if you have pads on, not pads. So just because one practice was heavy in the red zone, I don't think we necessarily read into, it speaking anything on the running game. I thought Ben was pretty complimentary about the running back room yesterday.
Specifically the rookie.
Yeah. For him to say that he thinks Kyle Monunga is going to be somebody they can trust in the fall was a notable comment. Especially when in the same press conference he said that Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are still earning his trust.
I think there's been more than enough runs, and I think they're more than enough runs, but also I like that they've come with a lot of full contact. Because to me, there's a lot of when you do the run game stuff without the pads on, that doesn't do it for me. But now
even sometimes with the pads on, though, because you can't take them to the ground.
Right.
But in this case, we've seen enough live tackling.
Specifically Monangai. No one's been hit more than him. And I think
he gets right back up.
Yes, and that's part of the trust. It's part of him earning the trust of Ben Johnson. More physical than I thought he'd be. Is he going to get every yard? No. He's a small running back. But you know what? He runs hard. He's low to the ground. He keeps those legs going. And he's kind of tough to tackle. All right. For Tyler, what realistic expectations should be set for both the offense and defense? Huge fan from all the way in Alaska. Wanted to get this one in for sure.
If I told you, Johns, that at the end of the season, the Bears defense or Bears offense ranked 15th in total offense, do you think that's a big enough jump? Would that be? Would you find that? Are you glass half full or empty on if they're just sort of middle of the road?
I think I might be okay with that. and that might be.
I think I am too, just with what we've seen.
Now my expectations are higher for Caleb Williams, but I'm willing, like even with things in Detroit with Jared Goff, it's not like they kick things off and they were this superpower overnight. No, it took some time for Ben Johnson and Jared Goff to become what they were together. And I expect the same thing to happen here. Now you want it to move a little bit quicker. Maybe Ben Johnson is more prepared for what he's doing right now as opposed to his like first couple of years as OC. But that took time still. So, I mean, if they're flirting with, I don't know, anywhere between 13 and 18, I think I might take that. Yeah. Especially if they're closer to 13.
And I like where we put that question, though, realistic expectations, because I guarantee you, if Ben Johnson heard what we just said, his expectations are much higher.
Yeah.
This is the guy who's had the #1 offense in EPA since he became the play caller in Detroit. So, and that's in a league that includes the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And he had the #1. So his expectations are definitely higher. I like how we're trying to, put it in on the Bears curve. What we've seen over the years, we'll take middle of the road. Now, when it comes to the defense, same type of thing. I want to keep it somewhat realistic. I think top 10 defense, though, is on the table and something I would actually hope that we're seeing this year. Last year there was a lot of talk, this is a top 5 D, this is a top 5. And it wasn't coming from us. It was coming from the players at the podium. And they weren't bad, but they weren't a top 5 defense. And I don't know.
See, I firmly believe this. Sorry, I'm going to interject. There was a point in the season where they looked like a top 5 defense early on.
Yeah.
They were scoring points. They're taking the ball away. But then something happened in Washington, and that team was broke after that. I think the running stats, the run game stats, all the rushing yards allowed by them bear that out, because sometimes stopping the run it's more than just scheme. Something changed with that defense. We've had stories on this, but I mean, that's why Matty Eberflus was eventually dismissed. But I don't know if they'd be top 5 all year last year, but they weren't as bad as I think the end of the year stats showed, because some bad things just happened there.
Right, and beyond obviously all the coaching stuff, they lost Andrew Billings, and that was one of the first things Ben Johnson said when he got here, was how much of a difference that made as somebody going up against them when it came to running the football. Well, it sounds like we're in agreement, though, and that we think top 10's on the table. You seem to think like maybe top 5 is
No. I think top 10 is safe. Let's not get too carried away. What I would like to see is the Bears be a top 10 defense in terms of sacks and QB hits for once, sack percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that go up.
I wonder what happens with the takeaway numbers, because look, there isn't a defense that exists that isn't putting an emphasis on taking the ball away, but there is definitely something to be said for the Lovie Smith, Rod Marinelli, Matt Eberfluses of the world, where that's like they almost spend too much time talking about that stuff that they forget other things.
Yeah,
and Dennis Allen doesn't seem to have that same type of emphasis, but I know Al Harris does, because he's talked from us being able to talk to him a couple months ago. He was talking it up like that, and so I'm just wondering, do we see a drop off in takeaways? I still feel like they have the talent and the way they're going to play. They'll still produce plenty of takeaways, but I'm just kind of curious to see where that comes out in the grand scheme of things during the season.
So that's a mindset, right? But you could also practice that mindset. Matty Eberflus used to have these stations where the entire defense is going through these stations, going through the process of the takeaway, forcing the fumble, ripping the ball away, punching the ball out, recovering the fumble, practicing scoop and scores. And the funny thing is, Carm and Pat and I were talking about this as we're watching stations of different tackling going on. And then they have these stations on Saturday's practice. Then they go to a team period, and they come back to different stations, and we're wondering what we're going to see. And it was a full takeaway period, kind of similar to what Matt Eberflus used to run, where they're practicing punching the ball out, stripping the ball, recovering the ball, all things geared towards taking the ball away. So that emphasis, while not like incessantly talked about, like Matty Eberflus, like he lived and died over takeaways because that's what he came to appreciate under Rod Marinelli. But I think it's still there. Maybe not as in your face, but it's present.
Okay. All right, a couple more, I think.
Yep. Let's have a couple fun ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any fun ones here to close out the show?
This is from David. What are your favorite movies of all time, and what are your biggest interests or hobbies outside your jobs?
Ooh. Well, I always go back to The Departed as my favorite movie. I just think it's so good. This is usually the answer I give on that one. I mean, it depends the genre. I love comedies, so like even though that's not going to be the most Oscar-worthy winning genre of all time, like I mean, there's a million comedies I could list off that I just reference all the time. But yeah, I think I like the Departed is one I could sit down and watch The Departed pretty much anytime.
All the time.
Yeah.
My go-to when this question is always come up, my two answers have always been for movies: Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan. If you want to go like on in terms of like TV series, like I absolutely love Band of Brothers. I could watch that every single day, every single episode. I just love that. It's like the first thing I ever binge watched in my entire life. I did it on DVDs. That's how old I am. The DVD collection. I still own it. It's like the only DVDs I still own because I loved that series that much. The Pacific is okay as well.
Now, do you have a DVD player though?
No.
Yeah.
no, but I got the DVDs. Other TV shows, like I love Stranger Things. I got into like a weird like the Viking show, which used to be on the History Channel.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Like
that,
and it's on Netflix. Over the spring, I binge watched that. That was really good. I enjoyed that. The Last Kingdom, another Viking-related show based on some books. I want to read the books after watching the show. I thought that was very good. Historical fiction. I mean, go figure. That's my favorite genre of book to read.
Yeah, I Forrest Gump's a good one. I would probably say, I mean, who knows? If I had to guess the movies I've watched the most times in my life, I think Top Gun and Forrest Gump might be up there. And I really like the sequel to Top Gun. I don't know if I'd say that's my favorite movie ever, but it was really, really good. Maverick. I've watched that a few times. Go-to Disney movie's got to be The Lion King.
Okay.
Without a doubt. And then what was the last part of the question? What do we like to do?
Hobbies and biggest interests. Believe it or not, like I've kind of fallen into like this baseball coaching thing, and I love it. But coming up here in the fall, like I help coach at my school, my kids' school, football, and it's like my two favorite hours of the day. I love it. I absolutely love it. From 5:30 to 7:30, it's just well, football, and you're not on the field taking notes on it. You're actually involved in trying to help something, build towards something. They're like, I can't stress enough how much I enjoy it. I love the game so much, and this is me actively participating in it beyond just writing and covering it and talking about it.
Yeah. No, I obviously can relate to that. I haven't talked about this really publicly yet, but I am taking a step back from coaching this year with Carmel. And it's been hard for me because I'm still getting all the messages. I'm still seeing like the updates and stuff. We see J-Mac out of Bears practice. So I'm still like around the program, still actually.
I cannot wait to text you, and your wife is going to be so mad about this. That Godfather clip, once I'm out and they bring me back in, it's going to happen. At least like one day a week. You're just going to not be able to resist it.
I mean, I'm still going to, I want to pop into some practices and help out as many. I'm not gonna be able to go to all the games, but some of them. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, it was definitely harder doing it. I still don't know how I did, but
Because you loved it.
yes, yeah, exactly. No, just because what you just said, when you're actually out there on the field, it's great. So, but getting back to the root of the question, anything that involves me being on anything that's floating on a body of water, I'm good. It could be a boat, it could be a canoe, it could be a paddleboard. If we can get some water sports in there too, where I'm being towed behind a boat or on a surfboard, that's great. But we don't have. We can even just start with floating with a drink in my hand too. So that would apply.
So the hobbies are outdoor related and sports related here. That's our lives.
Yeah, or kids related, obviously. I mean, James taking up hockey right now has been really fun, and he's going to be in a league this fall. And
it's awesome.
And that's the one sport I can't really help. I know how to skate. I know enough strategy from watching a lot of Blackhawks games, but I'm in no ways
it's like me
qualified to coach it like football.
It's like me watching my son play travel soccer. It took me like 3 years to realize what offsides is, because if they don't have the line, he'd be yelling at me.
Yeah.
Now I get it. There's no blue line.
Right. Get the blue line, the red line, the icing. I think James gets it all now, though. It's cool. It's really cool. So, yeah, that would all qualify. All right, we got one more question.
I want to golf more, but
I mean, I love golfing. It's just hard to find the time.
Last question. This is from Tiger Funk. Do Adam Hoge's amazing calves has anything to do with him hooping as a kid in these bad boys? If you're watching on YouTube, you could see a picture of the Seinfeld shoes.
Yes.
Or they're from Seinfeld.
Which I think were designed to get nice calves, right?
You know who actually? So Deion Miller, we're talking at camp on Saturday, and she loved that segment where Stacy brought up your calves, and she's like, Adam does have nice calves. I'm like, I guess I have to look at his legs now.
See, and I brought this up to my wife, and she's like, I've never noticed them.
yeah, look at you.
The shoes are awesome, but no. And see, my wife thinks it's because of how I walk. I have like a little bit of a hit. I don't know. People have always kind of commented on how I walk too. Like I walk high, like I'm up on my toes or something. And
oh yeah, you do.
I don't know. And so that maybe that because I wish I could say that I could jump higher though because of it, and I can't. So I mean, there was one time when I was in college where I dunked.
Come on.
Now I can still get the rim, but there will be no more dunking the rest of my life for sure.
I've never come close. I'm barely 5'9".
Yeah.
My younger brothers are both bigger than me. Like one's 6'2", one's 6'1", and the one who played high school basketball has dunked before. I mean, he played against like Evan Turner in high school and stuff like that. But me, sometimes I was just happy to hit net.
Well, yeah, you just make those threes. That's all you got to do.
I wasn't doing that either.
Yeah. And there was a time I could do that more consistently than I do now too, because it's kind of like the golf thing. I just don't play enough anymore. Go out there once a month. Can't get in the same type of rhythm.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, love the questions though. Was fun. It's good to do sort of a reset episode with some Q&A every once in a while. We'll probably have at least one more before the season starts as
Absolutely.
well. Again, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely.
Yeah, we'll don't miss the episode. I should be coming out Thursday, special episode this week. And let's see what else. I think it's just become a diehard. Johnsy's got more content coming out this week. Pat Norton as well. Keep it rolling daily with our CHGO Bears practice recap shows.
Oh, and share like I got a couple of these lately. When you get the box of your shirts and stuff, hats.
Oh yeah, I
share-
saw
we-
those
we-
coming in.
Yeah, we know the hats are going to take longer than the shirts, but the shirts are being distributed as we speak. So if you got one, share it, send it to us on X, and we'll retweet you, or I'll give you a nice, fun GIF of something.
Yeah, no, I saw those coming in. It looked great. I haven't gotten mine yet.
Me too.
You know, so shout out to the diehards that got in early, I guess. The hats will take a little bit more time because they're custom ordered through branded bills, but you will have them before the season starts. Is what we've been told.
Yes.
So, but I know the shirts have already started to arrive. So yeah, send those along. We appreciate seeing those, and yeah, don't miss the episode later on this week. Follow us on Instagram at Hoge Jahns, HogeJahns.com, all those great places. Appreciate the support, and make sure you hit subscribe, like the YouTube channel, rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back later this week. We'll talk to you then.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.